Hi everyone, Joel Johnson here for Native Seeds at our Conservation Center Gardens. We've been getting a lot of questions from some of you about growing and raising teparies, so we wanted to do a brief update of some of the basics in starting and harvesting tepary beans. Teparies are pretty amazing. They are native to the Sonoran Desert, so they're used to low water, high heat, and high salt, which makes them perfect for growing in a low desert environment. One of the interesting things, and something that we often tell people, is that teparies are one of the only crops in the world that the more you water them, the less they'll produce. So they'll actually do better if you neglect them to some point. Make sure they get their water needs, but limit it. Don't overwater them. Because if you overwater them, you'll get a bushier, greener plant that won't fruit and won't produce as many beans. We grew our monsoon planting of teparies here at the gardens in two different structures, on drip irrigation and in these 3-foot by 3-foot basins. And what we found is that in these basins, teparies only need to be watered with a soaker hose for about 5 minutes once a week for these 3-foot by 3-foot sunken beds. That's the most that we'll water them, and some weeks we'll be able to get away with much less than that. When you're looking to harvest the tepary beans, you're going to look for a change of color and a change of sound on the beans. You can see here, these are beans that we've already harvested, and this crinkle in the bean pod is exactly what you're looking for. That'll show those are ready to be harvested. On a large scale, you can wait until about 80% of the beans on the plant turn brown and start to have that crinkle. Or if you're working on a smaller scale, you can pick them as they're ready and they'll produce for a longer period of time. You'll get more beans, even though it's a little bit more work. Here at the gardens, we are into our 3rd week of harvesting tepary beans, and we've still got more to come. So they'll produce a lot for you with not very much attention, making it a great fit for here in the desert. One thing we do really want to highlight about tepary beans is that they have a tendency to dehiss. So as that seed pod starts to dry out, it can very quickly split open and drop that seed. And we want to highlight this because we've had partner farmers in the past who've grown great crops of tepary beans, had good seed set, and then when those seed pods split, they can drop and you can lose that seed before you harvest it. So just keep a really close eye when you're starting to get into that drying stage on the bean pods. And if you think they're going to split or you're not going to be able to harvest them in time, you can harvest them a little bit early, get them onto a drying rack, and then that way you'll ensure when they've reached maturity, you'll have that seed and you won't lose it. Once you've harvested your beans, you can put them on a drying rack or any kind of screen to let them continue drying. And once they're fully dry, it'll be very easy for you to separate those seeds. Save the pods, you can use those in your compost or as mulch, and separate the seeds for saving. Thanks for joining us today. For more information on tepary beans and all of our other arid adapted crops, you can check us out online at nativeseeds.org.